Dave, it's fantastic
Hey,
to see you.
and you,
We're
man?
recording on a different day today because
Yes,
our
we're all
lives
out
are a
of
bit
sync.
hectic. We're all out of sync. Oh, I have a friend of a friend told me that she was walking through a European city. I want to say Barcelona or something. And then suddenly, like, two other Germans walked past her. And like the one snippet of conversation that she heard was like, ever since Thailand, all our routines are out of sync. And that is like something that I always want to say now.
Yeah,
Ever since Thailand, my routines are out of sync.
we should have said that on the pod and just moved on. Like, ever since Belize, Daniel.
Yeah. So my routines are out of sync, but that's okay. Like I'm to-do list driven, and I told you this, right? Like we recently switched to Todoist,
Okay. Yeah.
and because like they're shareable and stuff, and so Lisa can now give me to-dos, which she loves to do, and I hate, but I also love it because that's another layer of organization that is very good for my kind of hyperactive brain. Anyway, and so like I can like it currently works kind of well to be like, okay, I'm a bit like there's a bit too much to do, but I can sort stuff by priority and work like from top to bottom. So yeah. Also, I've actually had some time for computer gaming recently. So like because like you wrote me earlier and said like, okay, you're gonna need another hour or so, and I was like suddenly super surprised because I was deep into Death Stranding, the
Okay.
Hideo Kojima game from 2021 or 2 maybe, I don't know, and had completely forgotten the time for a recording.
Well, that
So
worked out well because I slept in.
you could have just pretended to be super mad at me for forgetting the recording time. But yeah, like the game is
But
super weird. You are basically a delivery person, and you have to like, because like it's post-apocalyptic, right? So nothing is working, but like people need to like deliver the materials and things from one city and outpost to the other. And so it's a walking simulator in the main, like it's actually like a terrain traversal. You have like a backpack that is like, I don't know, 60 kilos, or like depending on how much stuff you're actually bringing. And the main game mechanic is actually like, okay, can I go up here with the amount of stuff? Can I keep my balance? Because you kind of have to balance the stuff, otherwise you're falling down. And it's also incredibly weird. There's dead ghosts. There's babies that are kept, like you have a baby with you inside of a plastic container, and you use the baby to repel and or detect the dead ghosts.
Right.
And there's like some amount of time
This is
traveling
incredibly
happening.
strange.
It is incredibly strange. And it's one of those games where I wish I had known about it earlier. Like so often, like mainstream games, like because like I know so much about indie games. I rarely play them because I don't play on a computer. But like I watch so many YouTube shows about like, oh, here's this indie game, and here, like this is what it's about, and here's what it feels like playing it. And somehow, because mainstream games are so big, everyone kind of assumes you already know what it's about and how it feels playing it. So I know that I have known of the existence of this game for like literally ever since it came out. But like there was no piece of media that told me, hey, this is what it's like to play Death Stranding. Like this is what it's like, not even like what it's about as in like here's the full story, but like just like what do you actually do? What's the main gameplay loop and how does that feel? And also like how's the vibes?
There must be videos out there that do that, and it's just that your bit of the algorithm when you're watching stuff on YouTube has kind of like filtered you to the indie stuff, right?
Yes and no, because like you have like this idea that somehow I need an equivalent of like thousands era gaming magazines. I need that for me. Like is like an idea that I have. So I actually actively read Polygon.com and sometimes IGN, and also like I follow them on YouTube and stuff. But even they like kind of presume that you already know what's going on. Like somehow, I don't know, or they are kind of vague about it. Like they'll be talking about a game like for 20 minutes.
Spoilers.
But then you like, I don't need spoilers, but I need to know like what is the kind of gameplay loop? Like, am I shooting all the time or am I like walking all the time? Which sounds really cool actually, like because it's really well made and stuff. But like that is something that I miss from gaming reviews. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I get
That's
you.
my personal
I used to
pet
love reading some of those, usually about games my PC couldn't run at the time. So I was, but I do sometimes think about building a PC and then actually playing a few more games that way. But what tends to end up happening though is if I'm sat at my desk, I want to program, right?
Right.
Like I
Right.
want to do development, so it's not that mode for me. And then I know if I got
Yeah.
something like a Steam Deck or whatever, yeah, I'd have that option. But again, would I really do it? I think I play with it for like a week or two and then lose interest. So I sort of like curb my enthusiasm a little bit on that one. It's more like I'd like the option to play a game every now and again, so that does not mean I need to
Yeah.
build an entire machine for it.
I get that. Also, like it's an additional device that stands around. Like I need or I want a
Yeah.
clean desk,
Yep.
and if I have like a whole tower here, like I can't. Also,
You
like
can
it's
put a tower
expensive.
under the desk.
It's expensive, and like the whole switching.
Yeah.
I'd need a different mouse and keyboard because like Windows
You've
doesn't
got
really
the
love the
Apple.
trackpad and gaming stuff and
Yeah.
whatever.
And
That
you've got
being
your
said,
fancy
I
Apple
was
monitor as well,
I
so
was
you don't
this
have multiple
close
inputs.
to actually like considering building a PC again because
Hmm.
Kitten Space Agency is out. Well, not out, but like the public alpha is out.
Okay.
It is a game that has been suddenly sprung up. Like I promise,
Mm.
I want to talk about this all the time, but like give me 2 minutes. So
Okay.
suddenly, you remember I used to love Kerbal Space Program. It's a
Yes.
funny but kind of physically deep space exploration games where you build rockets and then like kind
Yep.
of physically correctly launch them into space.
Yeah. And you end up
That had
stranding
a
the little green dudes out somewhere in the
Right,
solar
exactly. And that
system,
had a
right?
sequel, KSP2, which promised a lot. It had a fantastic art style, but it turns out the development team was badly mismanaged, and the whole project kind of shut down before it really launched. Like there was like a public beta. It was like
Yeah.
a paid beta even. So I paid like $50 for that game, but it never
Dang.
released. Well, the whole team got fired because it didn't like go according to plan,
Yeah.
which is
That sucks.
not surprising from the details that they shared, which is basically like the team was mismanaged. They've kind of fired the too expensive lead programmers
Mm.
and lots of other weird stuff. Like
Yeah.
so, everyone in that community was like very down and very disappointed. And then suddenly, some indie developer from New Zealand even comes
Okay.
out with, hey, we made a game engine specifically for space exploration games that can deal with the huge distances, because usually like all the game engines work in floats. Float numbers lose precision the bigger they get.
Yes. Yeah.
And so like this engine, everything is a double. It has like specific affordances for rendering like far away spherical objects like planets and stuff with like a technique called spherical billboards, that kind of thing. And then they continue working on that, and they call it Kitten Space Agency. Obviously, like a
Mm-hmm.
very direct nod, obviously. So it's basically Kerbal with kittens. They
Yep.
have now a free public alpha on a website called Ahoo, which is also the way they want to distribute that. That's their Steam
Yes.
competitor.
Yeah. I'm just checking out now. Yep.
And it looks amazing. They are like, you can't really do anything yet, but you can have a ship that is already made out of parts, but you can't
Yep.
build it yourself yet. And you can fly it around, like physically accurate, and like things already look
And
gorgeous.
the astronauts are cats or kittens.
It's a kitten. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is incredibly promising. Of course, it's Windows only right now. I actually managed to get it to run on my computer, on my Mac, using Crossover.
Yep.
But it has a lot
That's
of graphical
promising.
glitches then. But maybe there's a way there for me to play this in the future once
Okay.
it's a bit more baked. But yeah, this is super exciting, and
That is
I'm
really.
watching it with interest.
Yeah, that looks interesting. Again, I wouldn't build a
Whole
PC
business
around it,
model.
but
Their whole business model is basically they're giving this game away for free and then hoping for donations. So 5 days after
huh.
the public alpha launch, they have collected around 60K of donations USD.
Yeah.
Which is, I hope that number gets higher.
I'm seeing 85K right now, Daniel.
Oh,
Nearly
okay.
86. So
All right. So things
yeah.
are. Oh, that's good. That's good to see, because like
Yeah.
they have like a team of 10 or 20 people. Like 70K is not going far
It's not
enough.
much divided through, yeah. So hopefully that keeps going.
I think what they're hoping for is like big donations from universities or space agencies or stuff like that, because the
Yeah.
engine is good enough to do some low quality simulations and visualizations, especially.
Yeah. there's a whole STEM side to it as well if it gets
Yeah.
kids interested in that sort of things. Yeah, here's hoping they find their groove because that looks really, really cool. I shall be
So yeah,
sending that on to
that
my
is.
kids who have Windows PCs and will be
Ooh.
all
Oh
over it.
yeah.
Dude, I'm sorry to interrupt you and cut you off, but we haven't introed the show. We're 10
Oh my
minutes-ish
God.
in, and I
Welcome
feel
to the Space
unnerved
Podcast.
by this. Yes. So please
Okay,
put my
you there.
anxiety at rest.
You there. You there with the headphones. Welcome to Waiting for Review, a show about the majestic indie developer lifestyle. Join your scintillating hosts to hear about a tiny slice of their thrilling lives. I'm Daniel. I'm a picker. I'm a grinner. I'm a lover and I'm a sinner. And I'm here with Dave, who is a bitch, a mother, a child, a lover, a sinner, and a saint. Join us while waiting for review.
Will always be the same.
I was like so proud of myself for coming up with that I
That's
posted
good.
it on
You landed
Mastodon
it well.
before we started recording, and I was really hoping you wouldn't look.
I know, I missed it. That was great. I'm looking at our show notes, and we've got an item in there that just says Daniel is sharing his vision in all caps on vision. So
Yes,
can you share your vision, Daniel?
I can. Okay, so what's this about? So I've been talking to a lot of my coworkers from TelemetryDeck, and while we still don't have any full-time employees, like we're working with a lot of people these days. Like I think the other day we had like 10-ish people in the all hands. So that's really awesome to see. But one thing that I have been noticing is that because a lot of the technical planning for TelemetryDeck is just in my head. Like we have a feature roadmap that has like specific features like, I don't know, single sign-on or the new export feature that supplants the old defunct export feature, that kind of stuff. But one thing that is just in my head is like all the things that I want to do to improve technically under the hood. And it turns out that leads to problems because some of my coworkers then come up with ideas for problems that they perceive, which are correct, like which they correctly identify. And then they think about what they could do to fix those or mitigate those problems.
Yeah.
And then they come to me and be like, hey, I want to do that. And I'm like, oh, but I already had a different idea for the same problem. And so obviously there's a failure to communicate from me here, where I should share these plans and then also discuss it with my coworkers in a better way. And so I kind of wanted to kick that off by sharing with them like a tiny presentation that I'm going to prepare and show them this coming Monday and the all hands. And I figured it could be fun to actually click through that presentation really quick. Like we don't want to go into too much detail. This is still in full screen mode because I've been presenting on a actual conference last month in window because then I could share the window. That's how you do it. Hang on. I am very prepared. Here we go. Cool. Awesome. Okay. So this is my internal presentation. It's all very internal. Also, like this is because we have I just ages ago, I actually made a keynote theme for TelemetryDeck. So this presentation actually looks awesome.
Yeah.
Because like I asked a designer friend to create me all the like typography, and then I just like put it into Keynote as like all the how do you call it, all the templates and stuff and styles, and so now it just looks nice.
It's lovely.
You had a question?
For listeners, you may want to check out the YouTube instead to just have an actual look at what we're seeing, but we'll try and give an audio descriptive as we go.
Right. Also, as with all my presentations, my aim is that the audio track is always enough. Like you should never have to look at the screen to
that's true.
Actually understand what I'm talking about.
No.
So yeah, I have like a few intro slides where I'm just like saying the things that I just told you that we're basically going bigger. And so I need I just want to share with everyone the status quo and also my vision basically. So I actually like for vision, I looked at, I just have a DuckDuckGo search for like the weird, stupid stock photos for the vision, for the word with vision, which is somehow people shooting things. Like there's someone shooting a goldfish. There's someone shooting a lettuce, I think.
There's a guy underwater in a suit in the middle trying to eat the fish in front of him. He has his mouth out.
Yeah, there's a lot
Very
of
weird.
fishes, actually. Someone is trying to drink with a fish in their mouth.
And there's
So,
even a weird snake cat that looks
my
slightly
coworkers
AI
have to
driven.
suffer. My coworkers have
Yep.
to suffer my weird humor all the time. So yeah, I really like send thoughts and prayers. So what I want to do basically is go through the entire architecture for TelemetryDeck and look at where are things not ideal and how can we improve them in the coming 12 months. So like data is coming into TelemetryDeck. Like this is basically like this is a slide that I stole from my talk on how TelemetryDeck works actually. So data is coming into TelemetryDeck in the ingest server. It's going into Druid, which is the time series database. And there's an API server. That's the thing that's entirely written in Swift. And then there's the dashboard front end, which is the JavaScript application to display stuff, right? And that's what the customers interact with. And so now to basically just want to go into the things. And like the first thing that I'm really identifying is that we have different namespaces in our Druid where the data lands for our customers, which is already better than it was before because it was just all in one namespace and that led to performance problems. We still just have like basically one message queue where the data runs. So we only so what we do is like, if you look at the right side of your screen, like what we have is like all the data comes into one namespace that's called telemetry signals. And then we have like these copy processes that every half hour, like basically copy all the relevant data into a customer's namespace. And that is cool, but it's not real time.
No.
Like I can filter stuff, but if I subscribe to this namespace or to this queue base with more than one reader, then I'm paying a lot of traffic costs. Also, look at the SDKs. The SDKs can only send string-based values, and everything that the SDKs can send is like these 5 like hard-coded event properties, and then a payload dictionary, and the payload dictionary is always string to string. And like even if you send like somehow, if you don't use an SDK but like send it by hand, like it still will always be converted to strings. And so everything that lands in our database is strings, and that's kind of sad because I want to have different things. And so this is the problems. Well, the problems is like we have just one stream, so nothing is real time anymore. The hosting costs are high, and everything is a string, and that makes it hard because I want to support things like MetricKit and Swift metrics and OpenTelemetry, and that needs different data types like floats.
I was going to ask you why
Booleans.
you wanted to change it, and you've just explained.
Yes.
Yeah, those.
Like
so there are opportunities there.
Right. But even like if you just want to say like, hey, these are the number of items in this customer's database, like it's just something that you want to send. Like right now you have to jump through weird hoops to make it actually show up as a number. And if it's not a number, then you can't do averages and sums on it and stuff like that. And so that's very frustrating. All right. So vision. I want the SDKs and the ingest API to accept at least string int doubles and bools. And maybe even dictionaries of that type as well. So you can like nest dictionaries, because that actually that's not a lot of add-on work, but that would be cool for stuff like OpenTelemetry, which has this concept of spans that contain other spans and stuff like that. Also, MetricKit also sounds like nested dictionary, so that would be kind of cool. Vision 2, different streams for different customers. So the free customers, maybe not, because streams still cost. But if we move the message queue away from AWS to Hetzner, where we host a lot of our self-hosted stuff, then we can have multiple streams. Multiple streams will mean real-time data again, which we had for a while, but like I had to go away for performance costs. And so that would be really nice. Also, I put in...
Is that because internal traffic is not as expensive?
Yes. Also, right now, our message queues are the AWS type of message queue, which is a name that I forgot just now. And so you pay by stream. Whereas, like, if you self-host the thing, like, it doesn't care about like I guess if it has enough like disk space and CPU, you can just
have what you
all
want.
the streams that you want. Right?
Yeah. That's cool.
Right. I put in some this is a frill-necked lizard. I put in I wanted to not share.
I needed a trigger warning, Daniel. Damn.
No, these are all cute. Like I have a few more, but they're all cute and weird, like myself.
I've watched Jurassic
this is also
Park,
tiny.
Dude. That guy's not cute. I know what happens.
This is you watched Jurassic Park.
Okay.
Fine. I'm going to zoom in on a different part of the architecture now, which is here. This is API and the query worker and the Druid. Like, so the API server is actually two things. It's like the API server itself and like the query worker, which is like has its own like runtime loop where it like runs,
Yes.
like it manages queries and stuff like that. And I have now on my screen a kind of like a diagram of the different steps and communication steps that happen when a query runs.
That's a
And
lot.
I'm going to try to summarize them as in, or like tell the story, which is like you want to see a chart on your dashboard. So the dashboard sends an asynchronous query request with the query to the API. The API computes base filters and namespaces for the thing, which is basically it decides which namespaces it's going to run on, because of course there's like some permission stuff going on. Like you can only access your own namespace. And also automatically wraps everything in one huge filter so that makes sure that you can only access your apps. That's kind of a relic of the time when we had only one namespace. So we had to have a filter on everything. So that's the base filter.
Yeah.
Then it does a thing called pre-compilation, which is it converts all the TelemetryDeck stuff into just TelemetryDeck query stuff into just Druid compatible stuff. It checks its cache because it might be cached. It pushes it to the queue and then kind of periodically monitors the queue. In the meantime, the dashboard kind of like every half second asks, is my queue item already done? Is my queue item already done? Because it got a task ID. Then the query worker kind of like every second or so checks the queue and is like, there's a new query coming in. So I'm going to compile that, which is also like hard code or like absolutize the dates and times. And then going to send it to the Druid server to actually run it and also cache the results. Meanwhile, the Druid server runs it, but also caches the result because Druid now has segment level caching, which I'm not going to explain, but it's like awesome. So this is very complicated. There's like multiple caching steps involved. There's a lot of HTTP requests involved. And also there's multiple steps where things are being put on a queue and then kind of wait for something else to pick it up, which all kind of makes things slower. The base filters are unhelpful because they're no longer needed. The queue stuff is slow, and also we're double caching. So my vision for this is what I call synchronous queries, which used to be impossible because the queries would just run too long and then there would be a HTTP timeout after 2 minutes. But because we have namespaces now, things are actually really fast. And also because we are having segment level caches, like even if I slightly change a query, most of the cache will still apply. So they're really super fast.
That's lovely.
This is actually a beta feature that you can enable right now, which is called synchronous queries, where the dashboard is just like sending the query to the synchronous query API. It will do the base filter stuff and the pre-compilation stuff, and then just run it and then return the result, which takes out like 7 billion steps, which is really nice. If you enable this for your TelemetryDeck organization, most of you will see like vastly improved performance. But like some people will maybe see a decrease in performance, which is why this still is in beta before I take it. Also, like I'm just going to throw out the base filters at some point as soon as I'm reasonably sure that
filters and that makes sense.
Also, I am like by the way, I can do that because all the active organizations on TelemetryDeck are now using namespaces.
Hey,
so that is awesome.
That
makes me really happy.
Yeah,
and so I can
really cool.
update the UI a bit and like no longer nudge people into namespaces, but instead like if someone is coming back after a few months, they will just like have to like they will just have to see like something like, hey, welcome back. Enter a name for a namespace to continue. Like just not even give them the options.
You got to do this, and then it's got to do the migrate or whatever, and that's fine, right?
Right. Here's
Which
a bonus
happened to
vision.
me the other week, right?
That
you were in the middle of things being a bit further back than they are now, but like I went through that sort of process.
Right. Here's a bonus. This is a world exclusive. Like I haven't announced this yet. But because Druid now speaks SQL, and because I have no namespaces that will safely like distinguish one customer's data from another's, I am hoping to be able to offer SQL querying for TelemetryDeck as well, which would be really cool.
Dang.
Because more people know SQL than know TQL, which is something that I would like to change, but SQL is just also very convenient.
I can still speak SQL. That's good.
Yeah. Also, most LLMs speak SQL. So like, even if you are like kind of stumped, you can ask a LLM to help you out, which is also kind of nice.
Yes.
Okay. Trigger warning. There's another weird but cute animal coming. Brace yourself.
Bracing.
This is
what we are.
This is a Dumbo octopus. It's very tiny, and it has like ears, kind of. So it's like tiny yellow octopus with ears.
That is cute. I actually find that cute.
All right, last zoom in. We're zooming in on the dashboard. This is a screenshot where I want to show you the following things. I'm showing a dashboard for an organization or test organization, the Office of Orbital Oddities, and it's showing one app. All the apps in this demo project, by the way, have like names that kind of go into acronyms. So this demo app is called Kraken. So what I'm showing here is basically you see a URL at the top of the browser screenshot, and that contains the app ID, which is cool because we're looking at an app. But which organization am I in? Like, it turns out the organization that my customer belongs to is not in the URL. It's in the global state, in the local storage of the browser.
Yeah.
And that is really shitty because whenever we share links, like the link, like for example, Lisa sends me a link to an organization or to a chart or a dashboard or something, like my browser doesn't know which organization this belongs to.
Because you're not signed in and don't have that state for that.
Right. Because I might be I might have selected a different organization in the dropdown even. Because I belong to multiple organizations, like for example, TelemetryDeck and this demo organization. And so this is kind of shitty, and it leads to a lot of bugs. And recently these bugs have picked up because also our database has been a bit slow. And so the dashboard forgot more often which organization it belonged to. So that is something that I really would like to change. And instead, I want to have URLs that have because we have namespaces now, like com.telemetrydeck. I want to have the namespace as part of your URL because that uniquely identifies your organization, and then just like have the apps have names as well. So you have like com.telemetrydeck/viewer as URL part, and that would be very cool. The URLs would be more readable, I'm hoping, and so this is something that I want to have, and also I want to have JWTs for authentication because that can include different like data that just like stays with the client, and so the client always knows which organizations do I belong to, what permissions do I have, and those things don't change a lot. But like with JWTs, we can have like way less database load recalculating these things, and that's kind of what JWTs
so
are.
So the client's
for.
not going to have to ask the back end, do I have permission for certain things? Because it'll already have a view of that, but then also you'll be validating that on the back end as well, you know.
But that is the beauty of JWTs, because they are signed, right? So a client request comes in, and right now a client request comes in, like says, hey, I'm with this organization, I want to edit this app. I have to look up this user's permissions in the database. Like there's some caching involved, but there's still like there's at least cache calls, if not database calls, for every single request. But if that request instead comes with a JWT, JSON Web Token, by the way, which is basically an encrypted JSON file, I can make sure that this JWT has not been tampered with because I have the private key for that. And so I just have to decrypt it, not even decrypt it, just like decode it, and then I can already see all the data. Like the client has done the caching for me. And that is exactly what these things are used for and should be used for. So it's time for JWTs.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Also, I want to convince my coworkers that we will have just a global filter set at the top of the UI.
Yeah,
it's more of a UI thing.
It is, but it sits on top of all of these changes.
But it's also
as well, like
global state in the dashboard, so that's why I put it in there.
Yeah.
Same with here. Yeah. This doesn't have text, but like basically the queries already have, like in the query language, there's already lots of stuff that can
Do you know,
control how the queries are displayed?
I don't think I've ever seen TelemetryDeck in dark mode because I don't use it in dark mode.
This
So
is not this is not telemetry deck, what you're seeing.
yeah, okay. Okay.
Because we still don't have a dark mode, because I should really
Yep.
work on that. No, what you are seeing in front of you is a screenshot from Grafana, which we use internally for stuff, for like
Right.
low level CPU monitoring and stuff like that.
Uh-huh.
But what you're seeing here is like a three-way split. Like you have a big chart. Below the big chart is like basically a query editor that like controls what data goes into the chart. And then to the right, there's a pane that allows you to control how the data is displayed. Like, is it a line
Mm-hmm.
chart? Is it a bar chart? Is it thick lines, thin lines? Is it,
Yep.
what title does it have? So that kind of stuff. And all this is already like low level in the query language. And so it's time to expose this in the editor better. All right, last cute animal, because we're done. So here's an axolotl.
Okay. And to be clear, I don't hate frilled lizards. I actually quite like them. But they
You're
don't
more like a
necessarily
no
fit.
frills type of person.
Yeah, but you've got an axolotl on screen right now, which turns out to be my youngest son's favorite animal, and
Aww.
is actually because he draws is he's got a caricature of an axolotl as his profile picture on things.
Awesome.
So yes, he won't
Yeah,
listen to my show, but anyway.
probably not. But yeah, that's a tiny overview over my plans. Lots of these things that I've talked about are already like partially in flight. Like
Uh-huh.
a bit of like the async stuff is like the sync queries are already halfway there.
Yep.
Parts of the worker stuff's already moved. The dashboard state is like halfway there. We also have feature switches to enable or disable these things, which is
Yep.
really helpful because I can roll them out slowly and only for select customers at a time.
Nice.
And then
Is
the
that an
rest is gonna
internal
come.
feature switching system that you've built, or?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's cool.
Basically, each organization just has a list of strings, and if you
Yep.
have the name of the feature in your list, then you're gonna be able to like see the thing or
Nice.
use the thing. And so, like
Let's
for
see.
example, you yourself can turn on the sync queries for yourself right now. So some of the features are gonna be, hey, there's a new feature. Do you want to try it out? And others are
Uh-huh.
gonna be, hey, we're just gonna randomly enable this thing for 5% of people. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna try to squeeze in between feature stuff, because I'm hoping this will
Yeah.
fix the experience, or not fix, but improve the experience.
So
So yeah, thank you for traveling with Deutsche Bahn.
that's cool. It's really cool, Daniel. I love sort of seeing like a bit of an inside of your brain here with where it's all going.
Like I seem to be thinking um in Keynote somehow, or like in presentation mode a lot. Like even if I write a text or
Yeah.
something in my brain, a lot of the time I'm actually building a presentation. So I was like, I'm actually going to build a presentation here, even if.
It's not a bad shout. I think there's something there that sort of then because as well as that, it's nice and easy for you to give to Lisa even as well. So and sort of it's not just for you to communicate with your development team, but it's a good way of organising it just in general. And then you've got something that you can actually check back on this time next year as you're
Oh yeah,
putting together where how things have gone. You can kind of look at what the vision was at that point. So I think that's really cool. You can sort of do a bit of a retrospective with it. Do you want ideas from me? Do you want me to share some of my thoughts along the way? Like not necessarily
sure.
about. I'm
Like
thinking more
this.
about how you're delivering this rather than
Uh
about
huh.
what the things are in it.
Yes. I mean, this segment has gone on for quite some time, but like,
Yeah.
if you're not 100% bored, I would love to hear some feedback.
So I'm wondering, you started at the beginning of the show with sort of describing how you're struggling to communicate priority and vision and sort of where you're headed with stuff, and people are raising things that they see along the way, and that's sort of colliding a little bit because there's already that plan. But I'm wondering, like, how do you structure work items that people are working on anyway? Do you have a ticketing system? Are you using, God forbid, Jira or anything like that?
Right. So right now, what's happening is that we are using GitHub tickets somewhat, but
Okay.
the thing is that most of the time, I'm the only person that works on, especially the backend side of stuff.
Mhm.
Sometimes some of my coworkers will actually write pull requests, especially for the front end, which is really cool and helpful. Most of the backend is mostly me all the time. So if something comes up,
Okay.
mostly people will just like try to figure it out and work on that. There usually won't be tickets because we don't have a whole ticketing process right now. So people will just
Yeah.
like make a ticket for themselves, work on it, write a PR, and then ping me with, "Hey, I made something. Look at it," which works. But yeah, there's like some wasted time there for my
Yeah.
coworkers because like they don't have the full image.
And there's the risk as well of people overlapping work,
Right.
or getting merge conflict type scenarios if they're in similar spaces.
Yes. The thing is though, like there's not so many different spaces, but like still, like with Konstantin coming back on board, who is
Mhm.
like the new czar of all the SDKs now. So all the SDKs are just like Konstantin only. I'm hoping to never have to touch them again. But of course, like so what we have decided is that we're gonna meet up every now and then and just like talk high level about these
Yeah.
things. And so this what I just showed is like an even higher level, but like
Yeah.
one layer down maybe, so that we can actually like talk about things before he works on stuff. But yeah, at some point, if we have even more technical collaborators, there's gonna need to be even more project management. Right now, the balance that I'm striking is I'm producing a lot of code and also other documents. And so
Mhm.
I'm trying to do as little project management as possible, just because if I fall into that trap of doing a lot of project management, then I won't be able to do any technical work, which is
No.
ultimately probably the end result of the journey that I'm on. But like right
Yeah.
now, that would be the wrong way because like we don't have enough technical hands right
That's right.
now.
Yeah, you're not there yet, but with having a team that you're then having to project manage instead of you doing a lot of the doing. But I think there's something there in terms of being able to group maybe some of the um, GitHub tickets together to make sure they're organized around your vision that you've just shown me. And I think there's perhaps something where you can look across, because you mentioned squeezing this in around feature work as
Oh
well.
yeah, that's the other thing. So what we do
Yeah.
have is a very high level roadmap of features and stuff that we want to release in the future.
Yep.
And so one thing that I want to do is actually put in roadmap items for these visions as well into that roadmap. So they actually have a place, because that is also
Yeah.
the other thing that I have realized, that because like everyone, including Lisa, for example, and also like people on the outside world, they would like to see features because for
Yeah.
them it seems like, oh yeah, that's the thing I'm working on the features all the time. But it turns out like most of the work is actually just like maintaining and improving the entire system. And then the
It's
features kind of fall out almost by themselves.
yeah.
And so it is also the idea to put in like to actually name this kind of invisible work so
Yep.
that it can have a bit of a higher priority. And so I'm gonna
Project Fraud Lizard,
the
Project Axolotl.
yeah so the roadmap is lives in Todoist actually right now, and so
Yep.
I'm gonna extend it with these items as well.
Nice. Yeah, that was going to be the next thing I was going to suggest. Really, is like you will. This is a industry wide problem, right? It's a very typical thing. Is all of the teams that I've worked in, you end up with a. If you're in a bigger org, you've got a product owner who's trying to drive, you know, features, getting out there and wowing and wooing customers. Then you may have a delivery manager in the mix who's trying to sort of wrangle like what's going on where against that ask. And then from the dev side, which is where I've been sat, as certainly as an engineering manager, then an awareness of the technical debt that exists in the code and the things we need to do. And so there's this tension and this trade-off. And the way what I've most success I've ever had has been what you've just described, is making sure they've got items that are in the roadmap that everybody can see, and then it's not invisible work. And the sell that I often have back to product people who only want shiny customer facing things going out the door is to tie the technical work very directly to a specific feature, a specific thing. So then it's a win-win. You know, we're going to pay down this bit of tech debt or this improvement under the hood, but actually it then means we'll go faster on being able to deliver this particular feature. And then when you've got that win-win scenario, it's far easier to convince a recalcitrant product owner who only wants their features out the door because they've kind of got skin in your game and vice versa.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you're not at a level of organ size where you need to kind of do that sort of politicking or however you want to put it, but like,
Oh, you say that, but I kind of do, because the 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 management, or the board basically that demands these new features, is just our customers. And it's
yeah.
so easy for me, at least, because I want to make people happy. It's so
Mhm.
easy. Like, people come in, like, and are asking, like, hey, what is happening here? Like, why doesn't this thing exist? Why is
Yeah.
this, like, why is export disabled? The export is disabled because, like, the way we're exporting things is no longer working at all.
Yep.
But with namespaces and async queries, I can actually do exports on the fly directly now. I just have to finish
That's
building this.
nice.
So also, I've been, like, internally in my mind also, like, connecting a lot of these technical debt improvements to features, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
And so let's
And
see
I
what
think
happens if I speak about them more openly.
one last little bit there from me as well, as you sort of said about, people asking you, like, why is this not here right now, or those sort of questions. Like, what I've found as well is that by having a plan stitched together in the way we were just describing, you can start to communicate when. And sometimes people can accept, certainly, like I say, I'm thinking about recalcitrant product owners, or just people who are really eager to have a thing. They can accept not now as long as you communicate when is likely. And so by having it road mapped out, you can start to be able to not necessarily put yourself on the clock for things, but be able to say that's going to be within this sort of window. Like, we're going to get to that most likely in the next 2 or 3 months, rather than saying we're never doing it, rather than saying, shit, I need to drop everything now to satisfy this request.
Yeah.
Being able to just sort of say when is most likely kind of
Ooh, I
leaves
don't know if I'm ready
things.
to share a public roadmap, because it
No,
changes too
no,
often.
but it might, but you might be able to communicate approximate whens a little bit easier just by having it internally for yourself. You're doing that on an individual basis when people are asking, and that could be a thing, because as well as that, you can then collect any of that sort of feature request or customer feedback or whatever, and then and keep it somewhere so that when you've actually got to that bit of the roadmap and it's done, you can ping them back.
Right.
Um,
Right. The other thing that I'm doing right now is I'm resurfacing the bugs and paper cuts public issues
mhm,
repository on GitHub. And, like, every time someone writes in with something that's like a tiny bug, I'm putting it in there, or even, like, pointing people directly there, so that I want to, like, knock off a few of those, because it's getting a bit too much. And of course, features are important, but, like, snow leoparding is also important.
it is. It is indeed. Well, dude,
Yeah.
thank you for that. I sort of feel like that's been quite a deep dive into your business,
Well,
and I
thank you so much
quite
for your
enjoyed it.
thoughts, though. Like, that's really
Um,
helpful to hear. Like, okay, you're kind of having similar ideas, so I can't be out too much in the wilderness.
no, no, you're not. I think that's going to be good, and yeah, see what feedback you get from people as you go through it as well. That's the other thing, is you've got your plan, but you've got good people around you, and if they have good ideas as well, like, integrate them straight in. Be prepared for your plan to shift here or there, left or right a bit, because you've got a team, and that's part of the teamwork. I mean, of course, you get final say on the big stuff, but yeah, be open.
The corners are rounded. They have to stay rounded. They're getting even more rounded.
It's just going to be circles everywhere.
How's your project management going? Like you've been
My
working a lot
project
on
management's all over the
VX
place.
VXKit. How's your
Look, I
vision
think
going there?
we've almost got a show here, and I don't want to go too deep before I go. But let's just do a quick recap, I think, of where I'm at with VXKit at the moment, because I showed a bit last time. I can't remember properly whether we did a good screen share or not, but I'll save that for.
You shared on screenshot like a slider that had bindings, and you had like, I don't know, like toggles and stuff like that kind of auto updated.
Yeah. So it's not worth me screen sharing at the moment because I've been kind of mired in a little bit of state and bindings fell over as soon as I started adding child views. And what it uncovered for me was actually a much deeper crack underneath the engine that I built. So I had to sort of go slightly back to the drawing board with I did a deep dive on how immediate mode GUIs tend to work because I'm learning this as I go, right? You know, I'm not pretending to be an expert on any of this. Yeah. I did a lot of like looking up how on earth SwiftUI kind of does some of these bits as well, and then kind of pulled together a bit of a plan. I made a demo app that didn't render through cross-platform. It was just rendering through Metal and Core Image so that I could isolate just this bit of the architecture. And it comes down to scene identity and how you go, okay, I'm rendering this view, and views are ephemeral, so you're starting from the beginning again each render cycle. But there'll be other optimizations where I can cache stuff and this, that, and the other, but we're not there yet. Ephemeral view starting from the beginning. Right, it has this thing that is state. I now need to know that I am bringing a cached version from the previous render cycle out of store.
I love how you're pronouncing cache.
All right.
Like I was seriously wondering, is this like one of the times where YouTubers pronounce things differently on purpose?
I think I'm all over the place for moving from the UK, going to New Zealand, and speaking with Australians.
In the comments, tell us, how do you pronounce cache?
Yeah,
or
sometimes
cage?
I pronounce it the other way as well, so I'll pronounce it cache. There you go. Good old Johnny. Now then, so where was I? So I'm pulling state out of the previous render cycle to bring it back, and you need to know, okay, this one belongs to this view, this one belongs to that view. And long story short, that's what I've fixed in the last couple of weeks, is I've got that working well now. Child views are now rendering properly. I've got, which I needed, right? I want to have the fluidity of doing that. This isn't there's a couple of ways I could have gone. I could have made a widget system. I could have had everything. I could have avoided state entirely and actually had some sort of retained mode thing for this where everything is classes. But that's ugly AF, and I like SwiftUI's DSL, so I'm very much emulating that. So here I am. That's now working. In the process of the rendering engine is now much more testable, much more concise. So I didn't have unit tests a couple of weeks back when we last spoke. I now have like 170 of them across the piece.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I'm adding them for every new thing now as well. So that's improving everything a lot. Yeah, and I'm now at the point of going, right, okay, this is basically working. I now need to make it prettier, which is the bit I really wanted to be in, right? Because again, it's like, we spoke about this before, but it's like the bit you see, and I am currently both customer, product owner, developer, all of it, and I need that dopamine as well of seeing something shiny. So that's where I'm at, and hopefully by the next show, maybe I'll have something a bit prettier than what I showed you to look at. I've had some layout issues here or there as well, like, yeah, it turns out sizing things is hard.
Tell me about it.
Yeah.
Oh, tell me about it.
So,
like, one sentence, I'm trying to render text inside of charts these days because I want to have shareables for this year's Wrapped.
Okay.
I hate it. Oh yeah, this thing is like 419 pixels wide. So I want to have margin and padding. How much do I where do I put my pixels? I hate it.
Yeah. It's a whole thing, and mate, I feel for you there. Like Swift charts obviously helps us an awful lot with that end. And this is the other thing, right? I'm going to have to build these things as I need them. So yeah, I'm very much in that world of sort of going like, okay, how do I really want this to work? And also sometimes having to sort of go, well, I can actually cut that corner. Do you know what? This might work this way in Swift UI, but I don't need it to be that,
Hmm.
you know, typically what it is it's about Swift UI has a lot of flexibility in it and a lot of ways of working, whereas I can kind of say, look, do you know what? If it just applies padding in this particular way or does this in this particular way, it's my thing, and I can I can live with that. That's another reason
Yeah, I
I'm
mean,
not really
also
keen to
you
open
can
source it, right?
do
So
that as you go along, right?
yeah, yeah, and I
Like
can go,
even
hey,
if
we'll get back to that when we need it.
right, Swift UI wasn't built in a day.
Nope, nope, and I've got no intention to copy Swift UI feature for feature either, because the look and feel of what I'm building is never going to need or want to behave exactly as Apple's latest, look and feel is, even down to like how animations behave, how transitions will behave, that sort of thing. It just needs to be my app's UI to the world.
Right.
And there's going to be some benefit in some ways of not trying to follow that too hard, because ultimately I want it to run on all the things. That's why I'm not just using Swift UI, one of the reasons. Yeah. So if I start going, okay, make it exactly do a slide over exactly like iOS currently does, to then have to update it next year when something changes or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, and also like
That's
I mean, you want to
not
have
needed.
something that's kind of distinct. I mean, if you're just like
Yeah.
copying everything visually, then it's kind of a
There's no
moot
point.
point.
Yeah. There's no point.
So
So I'm not building
that
Flutter.
being
I'm not
said,
building Compose,
yeah, that being said, at some point, if you once you are in the completely in the making it pretty phase, you're gonna have to look into shaders with signed distance fields or something.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I've got, there's a whole load of stuff that I want to make it look like, and that's really like, at the moment I'm in the next stage of making it pretty, which is sort of building out my modifiers and that end of the DSL that sort of gets into you know borders, curved edges, making sure I can set gradients on things if I want to, that sort of thing. And then once I'm kind of done with that, I need an animation part of the engine. And then when
How
that is
hard could it
sorted,
be?
yeah, exactly. We'll see. Fools rush in and I'm a fool. But no, and then after that, it'll be into how I want navigation to work to some degree, which will be some basic animations to bring in overlaid views and that sort of thing. And then maybe we're done for now, and I start building out the prototype app. That's sort of where it ends. I've got state, I've got all of this DSL. I now need to use it in anger, building out the new app that I want to build, and accept that that's going to get to some level where I then hit the gaps in what I've built and I'll have to go back a little bit. But that's the only way I'm really going to learn about this. And if ultimately it's a vehicle for me to build my apps with, the first proof of the pudding is actually trying to build an app with it. So
Yeah, yeah, you should probably like the earlier you get to that part, the better you can really
yeah,
see and have fun with it.
the main reason I'm putting it off for now is that there will be other things the app will need in terms of like, okay, I want to integrate MIDI input, or I want to
Of
um,
course.
have networked OSC control or whatever. And I don't want to get sidestepped from making this work by thinking about all the guts of an app on it yet.
Mm-hmm.
But that's the broad plan. Hopefully, actually, in building app mode at Christmas time would be nice.
Nice.
Yeah. So maybe I'll have more pretties to show on the next show. That'd be good.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm very much looking forward. Like, I'm not a big fan of Christmas, but this might make me this might
Hmm.
Christmas a tiny bit funnier. That being said, I hate Wham's Last Christmas, but I love Mariah Carey with All I Want for Christmas. Like somehow, I don't know, like
Yeah.
I'm just I'm just a
I
Mariah
didn't
Carey
like that
fan.
song. The problem was that I have a younger brother, James, if you ever listen, mate, shout out, who
Hey,
loves
James.
Mariah Carey. Like, he loved her so much when we were little, and he was only like, I can't even remember, 6 or 8 or something at the time. And being the older brother, I was like, yeah, all right, don't want, he wants to put that song on again. So for years, I didn't want to listen to Mariah Carey's Christmas song. And
Yeah, you don't
these
want the
days,
mainstream thing.
no.
Like we
Now
all
I've come
hated the
back
mainstream
round.
thing.
So I'm with you on that one, Daniel.
Yeah.
All I Want for Christmas is a much better Christmas song. And yeah, these days I listen to it and actually it reminds me of James, and it's kind of cool.
Oh, that's awesome. That's nice.
Yeah.
I like that.
But yes, I will be playing Whamageddon, so do not
Me too.
Whamageddon me. Yeah.
Me
Yeah,
too.
I
Me
didn't
too.
make it that
All right.
far
Let's
last
see.
year.
Let's see which one of us holds out longer. Like I will inform you the minute I get whammed.
Okay, that's cool. The temptation to play it at you and Whamageddon us both on the next show is high, but I will hold off.
Oh, at least we'll go down together, I guess.
That's what I thought, yeah. But hey, here's the deal though. What I will do is play Mariah Carey's song, at least in part of the show, when we get to the last one we record before Christmas.
Rights-wise? Just a
Little
tiny
clip.
just a tiny
slice.
Just a tiny part. Tiny slice. Right. Shall we think of a chore that our
Yes.
listeners need to do? I think one of the chores could be, because like by the time this episode is out, like to just like get off your asses and buy a TelemetryDeck subscription with the Black Friday discount, because by the time you listen to this episode, it might not even be on the website anymore. But I know from a source quite close to the company that the coupon codes actually, they last a few days longer than the actual week. Just for stragglers. Yeah, you get yourself almost half off a yearly plan, which is kind of nice.
If I'm tardy on putting this episode out and somebody contacts you and goes, hey, I've just listened and it's not there and I can't find it, can they message you, Daniel?
Yes, but they have to say, all I want for Christmas is a discount on TelemetryDeck.
Fine. Okay,
also,
so there you go, listeners. There's a route. I think it expires once Christmas is gone.
If you already have TelemetryDeck and or don't want to pay for TelemetryDeck, your chore instead is to dust your Legos. If you have Legos, they are probably very dusty, and so get yourself some sort of brush or something and like dust them off. They will look way cooler that way.
And word to the wise, don't directly use a electric duster on them. You will have pieces everywhere. Ask me how I know.
So what I usually do is I have off-brand Swiffer, and that's like pretty good for just like dragging it over the models. Like I have the space shuttle right here behind me. Can you see? I can actually see that.
Yeah. I see them.
And so that is something that I just like. That's pretty good.
No, that works. And it's meditative, so it's not just a chore, it's good for you. All right.
It is good for you.
Well,
all right.
And if you don't have any Lego, dust something else. There you go. We've gone over the whole chore range there.
Right. Find something that works for you. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just make your space a little bit nicer. You deserve nice things because you're lovely and we love you. Thanks for listening. Please rate us on iTunes and YouTube. Send us emails at contact@waitingforreview.com and join our Discord. The link is in the show notes. Dave, where can people find you on the interwebs?
You can find me at mastodon.social /hang on. I can't even remember my username. I'll put it in the show notes. This is how long I was off Mastodon. Never mind. Otherwise,
back, though.
I am back, and I'm on Blue Sky as well. But again, show notes for that, please. Just click them, have a look. They'll be linked in the bottom. Otherwise, hit up Instagram and search for Lightbeam Apps, and you will find me.
Awesome. Find me at daniel@social.telemetrydeck.com. That's also Mastodon. Also, like, I assume all my socials are also linked in the show notes, I guess.
They will be. They are. Every time I put them there, Daniel. Yeah.
Fantastic. Dave, see you soon. This has been an absolute pleasure, as always.
And it has.
Yeah.
Go and get some sleep, man. It's late for you.
I will do that. And then tomorrow, I'm going to go sporty sport, I think, on a bike or something.
Nice. Well, take care, Daniel. Enjoy, and I will catch you again soon.
Bye.